All right, let's see if this works. I am trying something a little different today. Cool. All right. It's now live. We got a few different things. I think the quality should be a little bit better. I'm playing around with... apparently there's a way you set YouTube to have like a 1440p stream. This is 1080, but it should look nicer. Slightly higher bitrate. And now we're live. Okay, cool. So, yeah, I'm gonna give it a minute, have some people roll in, but we got some cool coffees to show off today. I will have an actual video of the first time I tasted these coffees, but I want to share these with you guys because I think it's really great. But yeah, just gonna be a fun kind of coffee tasting. I know a lot of you guys picked up these coffees, so that's why I'm gonna taste them, and I'll tell you guys, what I think about them. But I have a more like a first time reaction when in this other video, which one day will be released to the world. But yeah, chill night tonight. We might already have people who have cracked into these coffees, and I've been drinking them from yesterday and today. Well, this past weekend, and then have been enjoying some of them these past few days. So it's pretty fun. But let's go ahead and look at these coffees. Actually, here I'll put them back in the boxes. Well, I took them out of the boxes. I won't put them back in. But I've kind of moved things around, so the O1 is on a different section. It's on the table next to the monolith flat max, and then I've made some more space, so we have like slightly more space on the table, which means we can put more coffee on the table. So I have a bunch of Flower Child here, bunch of coffees, and then I got some of the Good's Good right here. So we got two coffees from Ecuador, from Pepe Jijon. Also have some Instinto, which we can taste, which is Pepe's roastery. But this is the new stuff, so I wanted to go over it. Just because I think you guys got it. We're gonna, we'll go over what these coffees are. We're gonna brew them, taste them, and hang out. And I think you guys, I think a lot of you guys picked these coffees up, so it should be pretty fun. Yeah, we got Starsky, cracked in the Finca Sera. We have Finca Sera and we have San Pedro. So two, quote unquote newer farms. They're both very close to each other, from my understanding. And San Pedro is Jose's. I think he's going to inherit it, or he's going to run that. And Finca Sera is the sister farm next to it. There is an Instagram. Let me link you guys the Instagram for all of this. You can follow. I picked up both of them. Sweet. Good job, Alan. So, Pepe has his own Instagram for these two farms. So I'm trying to link it for you all, if I can do this easily. So here is Instinto. I'm trying to link this here now. If I can find it. It's so hard to do Instagram on desktop. I'm trying to do this. And then we'll get into brewing. Okay, so it is Fincas del Putucio. So let me link this guy in the chat. Did V60 Pepe release? No, no. It has nothing to do with. Dude, I cannot for the life of me do this on desktop. Okay, here we go. That took a year, but here is this Instagram. You guys should totally follow it. It is it is the Instagram for it should be for Surya and San Pedro. So let me read these cards off because I know you guys picked these up. It's such a treat to be able to taste kind of in my opinion, this is the next generation of coffee. They're kind of two things that really I find to be very amazing when it comes to being an enthusiast now in the coffee world. The first one is emerging origins. So, this is why I talk a lot about Taiwan coffee, Indian coffee, Thailand coffee, all of those. But also kind of this next generation of coffee producer. A lot of people are kind of getting out of the coffee industry. The coffee business is really, really hard. So a lot of the younger generation of producer, people around my age, you're like early 20s, mid 20s, maybe late 20s. People aren't doing coffee anymore. And it's kind of amazing to see newer generations of producers come along. And that's like most inherent in someone like Jose Jijon, who is literally the next generation of coffee producer. And he's doing great work. And I wanted to, support whatever Jose and Pepe are doing. And it's like just amazing to see the amount of work they put into getting fantastic coffees out there. But I'm going to do Finca Sera first. So we'll read off the card and all of that. And then we'll do San Pedro because San Pedro is the newer one. And it's literally the first new crop. And I have been tasting both of these coffees, and I've honestly been pretty impressed. But let's look at this one here. So this is the Francisco Vintimilla and Pepe Jijon Finca Sera Mejorada washed. That's this card. If you guys picked this up, I think this is a really amazing coffee. This actually, from a tasting perspective, this is that classic Say profile, which is like such bright acidity and it just smells amazing. But I'm gonna read these cards off because I can do that, and we'll go from there. But I'll brew them and I'll taste them, and if you guys have these coffees too, feel free to chime in on what you guys have tasted as well as what you guys have experienced so far. But I've been brewing these coffees on S-Works Dripper using my V60 recipe. I'm V60 using my recipe, S-Works Dripper using my recipes, and I have been thoroughly impressed. So here we go. Let me read this. Finca Sera sits directly next to Pepe Jijon's new farm, San Pedro. We have worked with several harvests from Francisco in the past and are extremely excited to see these two passionate producers come together to create this special lot. In the cup, we find lightly fermented mango, pineapple, citrus, and tea-like florals. I know a lot of you guys don't flip over the cards, but if you do flip over to the cards, you'll find something amazing. You'll find a really nice note from Pepe, and you even have his signature right there. Also, when you open up the coffee, this was pretty awesome. They put Pepe's signature on the sticker. Same thing with the San Pedro coffee with Jose. But just like you get a really nice note from Pepe right there. I think the stream should have higher image quality, so you guys should actually be able to read it. Which one do I prefer between the two? Let me brew and taste both of these, and then I can tell you guys which one I like. But I think I definitely kind of flip-flop between each of them. So that's this coffee here. How have you been liking S-Works Dripper compared to Kalita or V60? S-Works Dripper has been awesome. This is kind of like if you've taken a low bypass dripper, like a negotiated Oria, but you now have a additional control in terms of having this valve. So you can get a little bit more body. You can speed up your extractions a lot. I like this dripper a lot. It kind of it just basically tastes to me like that really fast. I mean, I literally just explained this to you, but it's the flavor definition is not as good in my opinion. I mean, this is with like flat bottoms. Just kind of, I now trend more towards these cone shaped drippers. The exact flavor separation is not the same, or it's not as good, but the acidity has like a very big weightiness to it, and I think it suits these coffees really well. So I'm probably going to brew S-Works for these coffees, but yeah, so that's this coffee here. And then this one is the one that I think is more exciting between the two. These are both exciting coffees, but I think this is a little more exciting because this is literally the next generation here. This is the first crop of Finca San Pedro. So yeah, this is the very first release. So here, let me read this so you guys can see the card there. I think the image quality should be good, and you should be able to see this, or the camera will just focus on my beautiful face. But at least looking at my preview, that is not bad. Sweet. Okay. Yeah, so we got here. See if the camera will focus. It says, this is the very first release from father and son Pepe and Jose Jijon's new farm, Finca San Pedro. It is humbling and a true honor to have the first opportunity to work with this coffee. Jose is an inspired young coffee producer, and we are extremely excited to see what the future holds for him. San Pedro is one of the most beautiful farms we have ever seen, at some of the highest elevations we have ever seen in coffee produced in Ecuador. In the cup, we find white florals, peach, and yellow fruit. So both of these farms, by the way, are at 2,222 meters above sea level. Very, very high elevation. And you definitely can taste, well, you know, I don't want to spoil anything yet, but you definitely can taste high quality effort, processing, roasting, all kind of come together. Okay, so here's, you also get the really nice note from Jose here. You get his signature right there as well. Who wrote a really nice note, but yeah, Jose's 19 years old. That is, he is the next generation of coffee producer right there. You know, a lot of just like, it's like an age-related thing, but a lot of people from, if you look at, you know, the reports and all the articles, a lot of people are getting out of the coffee business, right? Especially if you're like, you know, 17 to 20, you probably, you know, like people end up going to other industries, or, you know, people go to college and people go and get out of the coffee business. But, you know, talking to Jose online and in person, you know, seeing him, it's like, man, this guy, he is the next generation and he is in it. And I want to support him as much as possible. And I want to, basically, you know, I just want to talk about his coffees. But the way I see it is, this is the first crop. I mean, you guys probably have tasted this already if you are tuning in, or you're going to get into tasting it, and you'll hopefully have the same experience as me. But you're going to taste this coffee, and you're going to be like, holy shit, this is the first one. And you will see that it will only get better. But this is what gets me excited. Now, in my opinion, right now is such a great time to be an enthusiast, because you have emerging origins of coffees coming out, you know, advanced processing, sometimes, you know, not the cleanest coffees in the world, but you then have this next generation of coffee producer like a Jose Jijon here, who he's like in it, and he grew up with coffee. He's taken over, you know, processing and being the next generation of producer, and this is his first. Obviously, he's like done other work with Soledad and all of that, but this is his first coffee, and it is tasting really amazing considering it is the first. You can taste that it's, you know, earlier on the younger side, and there's more to be there, but from a first release, you are tasting next generation and you're tasting potential. This is a little bit more mature, and this is what is, like, in my opinion, classic say, but both of these are like incredibly high quality. They're some of the cleanest coffees I've ever tasted. Now I'm gonna go ahead and actually, you know, I'll catch up on chat and I'll get into actually brewing. But let's brew Finca Sera first. I think a lot of you guys probably will veer more towards Finca Sera if you are more into the classic say style with the incredible, vibrant, structured, and sparkling acidity. This is a coffee that definitely checks all of those boxes, in my experience at least. But let's go ahead and brew it. these coffees were roasted 422. So they are about 2 weeks off roast, a little longer than that, and they are starting to really open up. I really suggest with these coffees, open them up on a little bit on the earlier side. 2 weeks, I think, is a great place to start. See what it tastes like. Get that baseline flavor established in your mind, and write down notes or whatever. And then go from there. You will see kind of how some of these flavors start to open up across the following days. But I think some of you guys got 5-2 roast, or a little bit later roast. So feel free to I'll spoil what some of these taste like. But generally speaking, a lot of the flavor notes you find on these Say coffees are all going to be pretty accurate if you brew them correctly. If you just try to extract, you will get a lot of those flavors from these coffees. But we're gonna go with Finca Sera first, and then I'll do this one because I'm just a little more excited about this coffee. But both of them taste really amazing. Man, I've been really struggling to get good, consistent brews on the S-Works. S-Works, I mean, are you Oshieing? If you're Oshieing, that's a different stories. These are not from the monthly subscriptions. You had to buy these. While we're on, we can check to see if the new coffees from Say dropped. And I think they did. So Wednesday night, by the way, guys, is when all of the new Say coffees drop. Usually after like 5 p.m. Pacific. Sometimes it takes them a little longer to get the coffees up, but generally speaking, this is the time that a lot of the Say coffees will be up on the website. And if you have it's an Ethiopian, right? Ooh, okay. Let me. Well, how about let's brew and then we can take a look at the offerings and see if we want to buy any of them, assuming they're still there. If you have to Oshi the S-Works. There's no such thing as a negotiator, right? I'm grinding at like a 5.2 on the Legum 01 at the lowest RPM, in case if anybody was wondering. And I'm dosing 12 grams. Okay. So let me put these boxes away. But if you guys have brewed Pepe's coffees before, you definitely should be able to tell that they're his coffees. I will say though, I mean, it doesn't smell like super Kenyan-like. I know some of the Pepe's coffees, his coffees do have like that really Kenyan smell to it. But the teoxidate or wash coffees. But Surya reminds me a little bit of that, but a little more delicate on something like the red fruits. Yeah, and they say, yellow fruits on here. But, Lance is pretty damn good at writing flavor notes, and you will experience that in the cup. I might re-Oshi this, but so actually let me take this paper filter out. But what I do is I have this here, and we'll see if I can redo it. But I've been using the Oshi here. I'm using the newer one, or the one that has holes in it. So it lets me fill in the water while I'm doing something like this. So I can basically like pour the water in here and then push it in. And that has worked quite well for me. although I just took it out for example purposes. I am dosing lower on the 12 gram side. I did a 15 gram brew of it the other day. It was really fun. I mean, actually I did a 50 gram brew of it earlier today, but let's see if I can make this look better. It's often harder to re-oshi things when when you already wet the filter the first time, but I'm not too big of a stickler with exactly how nicely the paper filters look. And that's really because I have an amazing grinder and like a really strong coffee. So how good you are at doing this doesn't really make that big of a difference, in my opinion. So like this is a pretty ugly example, right? It's like, oh, I pushed it too far here. There's a gap here. As long as I don't pour over that, it's fine. I do still preheat, even though people say you don't have to. I have no idea what micron gap this is. I think I'm enjoying what I've been drinking as many Ecuadors week from week. Yep. I feel like you should go finer on ZP6. I feel like you should go to like 5 or 5.5 on something like S-Works. And I've been finding like 3 to 330 brews to be a little better with this coffee. That's my opinion, at least. Eight say boxes prodigal and AG. Yeah, if you're 5.2 roast, open it up in a little bit, but I'm on that 422 roast. Yeah, I do rinse the craft. Yeah, if you're on the 4 box, I'll have a video with Preston of Flower Child on coffee subscriptions. We did this video with, like, it was a Flower Child coffee. We did a video with Bill on coffee subs, but I wanted to do another video with Preston on his sub, because his subscription. I'm just gonna redo this negotiator. Or Oshi or whatever. His Preston's sub is a little bit different than the Say sub, in terms of giving you like the best the best coffee in the sub. 1 second. Yeah, I would use like 10 to 12. 15 does feel a little big on S-Works. But 12 is good. I kind of just split it up into like, four pours. But I find that I like to do a little more agitation on this. So I'm going to brew now. Just going to throw in 50 grams. I have the valve fully closed, but wow, there's just like an interesting thing about this. There is florality in this coffee. And then at 20 seconds, I'm gonna open the valve. I open it fully because I like that on S-Works. I like to have the max flow rate possible. And then at 30 seconds, I'm pouring relatively aggressively, and I'm just gonna pour up to 100. And then the rest of this is all just higher agitation, 2x50, so 50 and 50 for 12 gram dose. I think in the video that I shot on this originally, I did a 15 gram dose, but I find that it's really that initial extract, like the initial bloom, that matters more. But generally speaking, like I'm at the point where it's like I don't care too much, as long as I have good coffee, it carries a story. But yeah, it's just like 12, 50, 50. You can do like 4x50s. Although I have found that just for the last pour, I do pour a little bit more, so like 205 to 210, depending on coffee and burr set and whatnot. But generally speaking, I like to brew these a little longer, slightly longer. Like this one, I pushed out to 205, 206. Wow, very excited for this coffee. Yeah, I love doing the 12-gram doses on S-Works. It is awesome. Flower Child has to rename for trademark reason? What? I did not see that. But basically, with the Say sub, the how I think it works, and I have never actually gotten like official confirmation on this, is definitely as you go up the number of bags, you go like 4 and you go 6 bags. There are usually some amazing coffees in the sub. Like you're gonna find some, the past. I think someone mentioned you're gonna find like Pink Bourbon. You're gonna find some Gesha. All that stuff. And I think it's because like their way of rewarding you for, or like their way of gauging loyalty, right, is like you are buying a lot of coffee from us. Whereas like Preston with Flower Child, he's like, oh, if you sub to me, I will give you the best coffee that I possibly can give, even for the 1 bag sub. So it's slightly different approaches. His Servio has been great. Would recommend you guys pick this coffee up. Okay, let's give this a taste. My brew finished about 3:15. So I did push this to a longer brew time. But that is totally up to personal preference. I'm also brewing at 100 Celsius as usual. You guys can just follow the recipe that I do with, well, let's give this a taste and then let's go and brew San Pedro. Just got some water on this and now there's a little puffy spot here. But yeah, okay, so let's give it a taste. So here's the kind of characteristic that I find in a lot of the wash coffees from Pepe. There's this level of cleanliness that is just always there. You can find this across most roasts of it, generally speaking. Most roasts that I think you guys are buying, at least. This one, though, has a really nice florality to it at the end. But it smells clean. Like you can smell that it is high quality coffee. All right, let me give this a taste, guys. $17-gram dose on S-Works is a little big, in my opinion. Okay. This is classic Say right here. So, first of all, very, very clean. That's like the first thing you taste, but there is this structure of acidity. It's like, here is this, I think it's like a yellow fruit, or I think, what does Lance say? He says, fermented mango, pineapple, citrus. Okay. That's like the first thing I'm detecting is this acidity. Then it's just like into clean florals. And it's sweet too. It's pretty sweet. I don't think this is like the sweetest coffee I've ever tasted, but it's very clean. A lot of Pepe's coffees finish and kind of feel this level of cleanliness. Although, to be fair, this is the Say roast of a coffee, so the standards are a little bit weird. It's very high standards of coffee. But This is tasting really good. This to me really is a great example of introduction to say. It's like if you want to understand this roasting style, you want to taste this type of coffee, you know, the sourcing, also the amount of work the producer puts in, and also the roasting style. This is a great example of that, where there is that lively acidity. It's, you know, pretty loud, but it exists in the cup, and it finishes really clean. There's no, like, I'm not tasting any sort of off flavors. This is an incredibly balanced coffee. This is not like crazy punchy acidity, like something like David Barrio First Crop last year, but this is, at least even a brew of it, it's like, I found great results pushing this, because I got a lot more, like this year I did try to push it a little bit more. I do find a little bit more of some of those tropical acidities in here. This is the Kosa Brewhouse cup, yes. Oh man. So, yeah, I get this like really nice yellow fruit, tropical acidity, but it's clean. It is like, this is just all clean, cleanliness throughout the cup. There's a structure of acidity, it's clean into florals. That's like the kind of shift that I find with this coffee. I'm gonna let this really cool down, and then we'll give it a more taste, but we can brew San Pedro while this is cooling down, and we can keep tasting it. What is the usual price range at Say for a non-gesha? Around like $20 to like $23, $25. In fact, they have geshas. Some of the geshas they have are like $30, $40, and those are an absolute steal for how good they are. But yeah, I don't know what's currently good on the site. Some of the Brazils I'm very interested in. I'm waiting for them to bring. Oh, this is really interesting. They have this other Brazil on the site right now. I don't look at the site every single day, but this one looks good. Ethios are coming here. We got a lot of. Oh, this I might buy. I got this coffee, I think 2 years ago. So that one is pretty good. Okay, this is now kind of really cooled down. Let's give it a taste. Yeah. Now there's this like really nice tropical yellow fruit acidity that's just there. I think a great example of like how you can tell, like I think a test to do if you never picked up Say before is brew it, and what you do is you just let it sit. Let the coffee cool down until it's like right above room temperature. This is still really, really hot, by the way. And see how structured the acidity is. I think that's like there's like this structure of acidity in a lot of the Say roasts, and there is this this like punchiness that you'll experience, or, you know, sparkling acidity as we'd call it. I don't want to get too caffeinated, but this is tasting so amazing. What grind size do you use on Pietro? I don't have a Pietro, but probably finer. $7 to $8 on Pro Brew. Yeah, that probably sounds pretty close. Okay, now let's do. When I was Oshiing, I got water splattered over me. Let's do San Pedro now. San Pedro. Okay, this one I think will be the more. I don't know. Will be the more. Oh my god. So also the aromas on a lot of these coffees. Like I totally forgot to tell you guys like what these coffees smell like. holding wise, but a lot of the Sei coffees do smell like this, and maybe that's due to lowering. But here we go. I'm also going to do 12-gram brew of San Pedro. What I want to do is mainly try to do something very similar, at least. But I want to talk about, you know, what does like fresher coffee taste like? Like, you know, you can taste like the coffees are young, right? Or the plants are young, and there's more. Like you know, what does potential taste like, if that makes sense? Oh, wow. It smells so sweet. So this is something that I didn't want to spoil it for you guys, but this to me, it smells, there's this intensity of sweetness that I get. So with the Finca Surya, what I experience is a lot of really nice, and you get intense acidity. You get like that classic, this is what Sei tastes like. You know, that type of acidity. With San Pedro, it's that sweetness. So it's kind of similar, but this is more of like a pointier coffee, where it's like, here is just this intensity of acidity. And I think that's an example. Well, you know, these are fresher, newer, younger harvests and younger plants. So you can tell, like, okay, maybe in the future there's going to be more stuff happening in the cup, but there is a level of sweetness in this coffee that is amazing. Yeah, it's like, it's just like intense sweetness. And I'm brewing this the same way, where at 20 seconds I'm going to open up the valve. So this is definitely more of like of a less balanced coffee, in my experience. So there are kind of gaps in the flavor profile, but it's like the Finca Sera and a lot of the Seras is like, here's just this really like structured acidity. This here is like sweetness. It's a little hard to explain, but that's kind of what I'm tasting, at least, and it's pretty good. It's just different. It's a different presentation. Give this Finca Sera a little bit more of a taste once that it's really cooled down. All right. Yeah, so like you let these coffees really cool down, and they start to exhibit a lot of acidity. I mean, taste, for me, I just drink a lot of Sei around now. So this was brewed probably 5 to 10 minutes ago, and it's really cooled down to a point that it's a little bit warmer than room temperature. And this is really where like you can find this structure of acidity that exists in a lot of this roasting style. A lot of really, you know, the sourcing is what's carrying the story here. Yeah, that's really good. That is really good. Pepe's done a really great job. All right, now let's give San Pedro a little bit of a taste. San Pedro is quite different than Surya. In that I was saying there's kind of like gaps in the flavor, but it's really like, instead of it being acidity, it is sweetness that I'm experiencing. To me, this also, it also kind of did have maybe because there isn't a very super like ultra predominant acidity in it, like Surya has, it's filled with like sweetness instead. So it's like what you're tasting is like, here is a presentation of a coffee that has like intense sweetness, it's clean, but less acidity, or less like intense acidity that you get out of Finca Sera here. And I think that's just like an example. Well, I think that's just a thing of like, this is literally the first of the coffee. So it's more of like floral forward coffee, if that makes sense. So I'll taste these two, and then I know you guys picked these coffees. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys bought these coffees, so we can kind of talk about what did you guys experience, and so on and so forth. But here's San Pedro while it's hot. Let's give it a taste. So this is like intense sweetness. That's the first thing that's hitting me. I do also get, I think he said, pear, yellow fruit. I do get some of those tropicals or like yellow fruit in here, but it's not as apparent to me as Surya is. Like Finca Sera, this one much has that classic structured say acidity. This is that same level of intensity, but instead of it being acidity, it's sweetness. And that's kind of interesting. It's like, so they're both high caliber coffees. They both are clean. They both have a level of florality to them that's quite interesting, where I just wouldn't expect, I wouldn't really expect florality out of, Mejorado. All right, I'm going to let this guy really cool down. I'm going to look at chat, and we'll give it a taste, and we'll taste it against Finca Sera here. But yeah, those are the coffees I just wanted to brew for today. I really just wanted to highlight these coffees because I think the work that Jose and Pepe are doing are just, it's just like absolutely amazing work. But let's see if I can, it'll be really hard for you guys to see on the camera, but yeah, those are these two coffees. Let's let them cool down a little, and we'll give it a little bit more of a taste. But I think if you bought these coffees, you'll be very, very happy with what they tasted like. Yeah, that's the interesting thing. They feel both more like Geshas than Mejorados. That's the thing, is there is a level of florality in this that it's like, what is happening here? I think that's, they wrote florals here, but I find San Pedro to be, maybe for me, I perceive there to be a little bit more florals, maybe because it doesn't have this additional acidity in it. So I'm experiencing more florality, more sweetness, more of that intensity of sweetness than the Finca Sera here. But both of these coffees, like, when you start tasting them, I'm gonna use the same cup. Both of these coffees, like, really, what you should do is, I would recommend you brew both of these coffees side by side, like I just did there. You get these two, brew them side by side, so you can taste them together, and you can experience, like what each of these is supposed to taste like, or what is different, because you can tell the roasting style is the same on these. You can tell that they both come from very similar areas, but you can taste that there are slight differences, right? So this is like a good example of, okay, this is maybe a younger crop versus a newer crop. Processing is done the same way. It's like, it's just kind of interesting to be able to taste this like side by side, like, you know, maybe older or more developed of a plant versus like a newer crop. So you can taste. So this is like the kind of, wow, this has this level of acidity that's great. But what you can taste here is basically you can taste like, okay, here maybe he's gonna want to make this coffee taste more like this, or like more of that acidity is gonna be more like that acidity is gonna be louder as time goes on. Right now, though, what is impressive to me is this level of sweetness and this level of florality, which is like, this is the first one, man. It can only get better. That is the crazy thing, is it can only get better. Like, this is probably the worst that this coffee is ever going to be at this point in time, which means that what you're experiencing now is the first, and it's going to be something to, like, remember what this coffee tastes like. And then as the years come, pick this coffee up the next harvest, so on and so forth, right? And, you know, you will find more like year-to-year variance, even like as an enthusiast, right? We buy the coffees, you're like, oh, last year tastes a lot better. But generally speaking, a lot of times when we say, oh, last year tasted a lot better, it is from established farms, established coffees. This here is so new, it's probably only going to get better as time goes on. And I have very, very high hopes for this. And this is why I will really want to support Jose and Pepe as much as possible, you know, because I just want to talk about their coffees, because for me, this is that flavor profile that I enjoy so much. I love clean coffees. You guys know me. I like clean coffees sometimes. But yeah, this is like potential. What I'm tasting here is potential. I mean, and in fact, even here, this is like already so good. And I think this is from, I don't even know when they started planting here, but I'm just like very excited. Very excited for the future, because it's like, this is the lowest, the low and the low on all coffee I've ever tasted is already so high. Like, the average is so high. Obviously, it had to pass Ceylance's standard for him to feature this coffee, but still, this is also a great example of a roaster like Say going in on the new, right? This is like this is a brand new coffee, and investing their time, money, effort, all of that into this, and because like it's only gonna get better. I can't wait for the knockoff versions of roasters. There already is a knockoff of Say. My other cup in the morning was Ngise Nare. That was a great coffee as well. I don't think my palate's that good. I just think I'm good at entertaining. But yeah, no, like, both of these coffees, like, just have this level of florality and cleanliness. Like, you can both tell that they're, I would rank them, at least like my brews of both of these, to have been pretty good. I definitely could have brewed these better. There's always, like, you know, better ways to brew coffee. I think I probably would have preferred these maybe a little more out of high agitation V60, at least for my preference, but I wanted to do like a more transparent brew style, so I whipped the S-Works out. What I was going to say is, there's the level of cleanliness between these two feels very similar. Like, I would say that both these coffees taste very, very clean. And to me, at least, I think they're very similar in terms of cleanliness. If you're into clean coffee, these are great choices. If I'm trying to nitpick these coffees, like, the only nitpick that I would have is on San Pedro. I wish there was maybe a little more acidity, but because I am so used to this, like, the gap of acidity is filled with Surya. If you just taste these side by side, you're having a great time. What I'm really tasting here is like that potential, and instead of there being that that really structure of acidity, it's this intensity of sweetness. So it's quite different, and I'm like, oh, this is actually, I'm starting to actually like San Pedro a little more than Surya at times. The other day when I brewed these side by side, I definitely preferred San Pedro over Surya because it was just very different. It's been a while since I've tasted a Say coffee that was just like, here's just sweetness in your face. It's like being punched in the face with sweetness. Yeah, you should brew San Pedro next to Surya and see what happens. All right, Alan, let me taste these again side by side. So we got my very unclean cup, which people complain about, but you know, whatever. It's my stream. Okay, Finca Sera. There is like so much structure of acidity. It's like definitely tropical fruit. In your face, it's clean, it's sweet, and then it finishes very floral. So they say like, I think citrus, mango, that is 100% what you get in the cup right now. It's tasting great. So this is like, you know, now 15, 20 minutes off. Like I've been streaming, I've been streaming for about almost an hour. This is really where you should let this coffee very, very much cool down, and you should experience, you know, how does the acidity peak, right? Where does acidity peak and when does it start to fall apart? You can also experience this in cupping, where like if you cup a lot of Sei coffees, you'll find that it takes a very, very long time before they start to fall apart. Wow. Let's taste San Pedro again. I flip-flop between these two on which one I like, but I think I like this San Pedro right now. I think earlier today I was liking Surya a little bit more, but what is different between these two coffees? So this coffee here, San Pedro, has this coating of sweetness. It is like intense sweetness, and then you're finding like it's like a level of sweetness, and then like under that is where this tropical acidity exists. And it still has the same effect of like finishing very, very clean, very, very sweet, but this has a linger of sweetness. This has a linger of acidity. So this is still, you know, this is what I'm used to. This is like very much what I'm used to, because like that's what a lot of the Sei coffees are like, which is like, here is this acidity, it's just on your tongue, it stays there for a very, very, very long time, and then it finishes nice and clean and nice and sweet. This is probably more in line with what a lot of people like, but although, like, you know, if you're into this style of coffee, this is probably what you guys will like more. I personally like the San Pedro more because I think it's like, oh wow, it's different. Is different. This to me is that quintessential classic. This is what Sei should taste like. This is like still checks all of the quality standards, but the presentation is slightly different, and I think that's what I like about this. Like this is balance. This is like acidity, here. This is like dynamic and maybe more layered, but maybe there isn't as much stuff going on in here, so that's why it's easier to perceive. This has some layering in terms of acidity layering. This has more, I would say, flavor layering, if that makes sense. So it's like the general flavors are more layered here, where it's sweetness, acidity into like florality, and then it finishes clean. This here has the same effect, but the acidity is definitely more layered. And I think that is what's people like about, you know, these coffees. All right. Yeah, make sure you tell me what to get for dinner. I don't know. All right, I'm gonna catch up with chat. I should get sushi for dinner, maybe. I'll figure it out. I'll try to watch these streams without the audio and see if we could film the blanks with the hand gestures. I am doing a slightly modified version of my S-Works dripper recipe. And it's because I'm using 12 grams here. So Alejandro, I am doing 12. So I'm running this at full 100 Celsius. I'm doing 12 gram dose. And what I'm doing is I'm doing a 50 gram bloom, steep for 20 seconds, open at 30 seconds, pour in the next 50, and then at 1:15, pour in the next 50, and then at 1:30, pour in another 50. Although these I poured in 55 to 65. I find you can push a little bit larger in that final pour to hit the ratio that you want. I am also using 01, so I find I'm using Lagom 01. So I'm finding with these coffees, I like them. I like them at least 1 to 17. I think they do taste really great up to 1 to 20. But at 1 to 20 world, that is more dependent on how good your grinder is at 1 to 20 for it to taste good. And second of all, coffees extracted that high kind of fall apart. Stop tasting coffees and get my X1 Studio to me quicker. Maybe. They're on the way. So if you ordered it, they're on the way. There's a pallet of them coming to the States. So they left the factory a few days ago. I think you guys should get an email on that. To me, okay, so what is Star Sky saying? To me, it was more layered acidity simply because there was more acidity. Okay, but I think the San Pedro may need more time to open it. Yeah, so I don't know if you have the 422 roast of this, but definitely tasting it now, these coffees have opened up a little bit more than a few days ago. But yeah. Has anyone tried the grinders out of Mischief workshops? No. I mean, I have tried the M40, which I think the M40 is the superior grinder over the C40, but I have not tried the other ones. Discord has decided that you do a review of a meme product since it's been a while. We forced you to buy something. Yeah, you know, I don't know which one what we should buy, but I'll take requests on something else. Okay, Alejandro, you can try it on the Oreo, the MPs. Just be careful of your water, man. Those MPs are temperamental. Yeah, so I think, okay, Brian, do you tend to announce a coffee you are going to taste on YouTube so others can pre-order? I probably talk more about them on the Discord. So if you want to get the scoop on what I'm gonna taste and the random things that I stream, because I have no schedule and I have no agenda on any of these things usually. I post a lot on the Discord, so that's like where like this is what these streams are for. This stream is really for like the dudes who bought this coffee on the Discord. 422 roast. Okay, so I think it is one which is like, it is a more, just like that is what the coffee tastes like, which is more sweetness forward, but also it's like, I think these coffees are going to start to open up and maybe you'll get more acidity, but you're not going to get as much acidity as Surya. That's like my hunch right now. At least tasting these two side by side, I've gotten to taste them side by side so many times. I think Surya's definitely has more of that upfront acidity. But, god damn, these are good coffees. So Surya now really, really cooled down. Need a sip and spit now, because it's getting a little caffeinated. Why do you say MPs are temperamental? So, I will explain. MPs to me are lame as fuck. No. Okay, so MPs are a good way to waste a lot of money. No, what? So, basically, what I've experienced with MPs is just, I think it is a high variance depending on what water you're using. It's very high variance in terms of what coffee you're using. And it's also very high variance depending on what grinder you have them in. So they actually create a lot more fines than you'd expect them to. And I run MPs, like, so I've had the opportunity to taste MPs in an Ode, MPs in the P64, And I think the MPs in P64 taste way better than MPs in Ode. So that's a carrier difference there. The second thing is it is so water temperamental. And coffee temperamental. It's like if you spend $250 on burrs, I feel like these are like incredibly punishing. They are transparent, and that's what makes them good. But there is like a lot of things that I'm willing to sacrifice if my hit rate is higher. So I have Ode Gen 2 next to Ode MPs. I will pick Ode Gen 2 over all day. And even though Ode Gen 2 does not have this super structured acidity compared to MPs or like brightness of acidity, a lot of my coffees just like my average hit rate is a lot higher. And I'm just kind of now on the side of like, man, I want burrs that are more forgiving. But also, if I do complain about MPs, I'm in the camp of like, I don't use MPs because I have better things, right? Like, but I also just am not a huge fan of 64 mil burrs right now. Like after you've tasted 98s, 102s, I will say that there's a difference, right? Like, and it is hard to explain the difference until you've lived with it. I think outside of all flavor preferences, this is the problem with all these streams. We end up talking about burrs. We end up talking about grinders. We should just ban talking about grinders from the stream. I should just ignore all the grinders, all the grinder related things. But basically, like the way I relate it to these coffees, it's like I just spent. These are not cheap coffees, but it's like if you spend money on these coffees, you want to at least be able to enjoy them. And you don't want to not have enjoyed them or to have felt like you've wasted money on these coffees because you have a burr set or a grinder that is horrible to dial in. That is like my stance on a lot of this. And the big reason why, of course, if you have you want to upgrade and whatever, a big thing that I've found with spending more money on coffee grinders is my average hit rate, outside of maybe like one or two burr sets that exist in the world, is much higher. So if I'm trying to maximize my enjoyment of these coffees and maximize my, the number of good cups I get, that's why I trend towards like the more forgiving brew styles now, forgiving burr sets. Like, and I just find like in the 98 mil world, you just have burr sets that do everything the MP does better, but also without any of the weird, like unforgiving aspects of MPs. It's kind of weird because you're like, how do you get more clarity, more acidity, but also have a less punishing burr set? Kind of interesting. It's kind of weird when you go up to like 98 mil world. But I'm ranting on burrs. But yeah, you guys say, as someone with MPs, they're painful at times. Like you pour the water the wrong direction, you use the wrong coffee, you mess up your water recipe, or like that is just, it's literally throwing money away. You are throwing away money. That is how that is my opinion of MPs. Or like that type of burr set is like, if you're into that style, like I will say 10 to 20% of the brews will be incredibly mind-blowing out of something like MPs. But it's like, was that worth it to get 9 out of 10 on acidity when I could have just got like SSP cast and gotten like 8 out of 10s on acidity, but then had like a 50% hit rate? It's like those differences, I think, matter when you are trying to appreciate the coffee. But yeah. Very, very, very finicky. Pedro, Pro Brew Burrs turn my MPs into paper rates. I've only tasted like 2 or 3 cups off of Pedro Pro Brew, and instantly I'm like, this is better. It's cleaner. It has less fines. You can push coffees harder without problems. Yeah. Did I get the John Carvel Aji from the Fort? I did not. I saw that coffee, but I was like, I have too much coffee, and I decided to just buy both of the Pepes. I was so tempted to buy all three. I ended up just buying the Pepes instead. Also, a lot more consistent. Okay, so my experience with MPs is like, if you, in my own, if I let the bed dry out at all, I get instant astringency. And I think like, yeah, a lot of stuff like that has happened, and I don't know. I'm just like, man, I don't have to think about this so much, man. Burtalk got the chat riled up. Yeah, I mean, well, like, what burrs is everybody using MPs? Oh my god, so sad. The Zerno seems to have tamed the SSP MPs for me. So yeah, they're like carrier dependent, right? It's like you just had to spend $2,000 to make them good, or 1,500. That's all you needed to do. That's a Pepe hands right there. IMO. But yeah, you know, I'm more in the camp of like, okay, I want to maximize the performance per dollar, but also like minimize pain, if that makes sense. So, yeah, there are a lot of like other other things, but it's just like, once you upgrade and you go to the bigger sizes, I think you will have a higher appreciation of having a higher hit rate. Because I know a lot of people go towards something like 64 MPs, and maybe myself, I'm partially to blame for that, of recommending that burst set, but I think it's a great learning example, because if you can dial in 64 MPs, you can probably dial in any burst set in the world. But it's like, if I was trying to enjoy these two coffees, I would not want to brew them on such an unforgiving burst set. I wouldn't want to waste so much of this great coffee here just to make it taste good. I mean, ZP6 on these would be great. I think I think these coffees taste really good on any of those burst sets. Mm. I'm going to taste on San Pedro again. Wow. I'm just very happy that these coffees exist. Mm. So what's interesting to me now, I think I briefly mentioned it at the beginning of the stream, was I felt like this reminded me a lot of the typical Teoxidator wash coffees, where there's kind of like a Kenyan smell to it, a red fruit Kenyan-y smell to it. I don't think this Manhattan of it had it too much, but one of the Instintos had a lot of it, or like the Sidras, you know, that very like classic Kenyan red fruit smell. Oh yeah, there, tomatoey. That's like what this kind of reminded me of, that just a little bit, but it's more of it's more like yellow fruit, I would say. This here is Sidra, or Super Oxidator Sidra. I don't know, SOS on it. And this to me, so this is the Instinto roast. So this is roasted in Ecuador. This has that classic tomato Kenyan smell to it. And I think the funny thing is, if I remember correctly, I might have overheard Pepe talking about it, and I don't think he even knew that's what Kenyan coffee was like. Like, he just like did his stuff, and you end up with coffees that remind you of like other origins. Another example of that is like this here. I don't know if you guys picked up this coffee from Say or from Flower Child. This coffee is probably still on Flower Child's website, but this is the Surya Botina, and this is a Colombian pink bourbon, and it smells like a Kenyan. It has that like big red fruit. It's kind of weird. But man, both of these coffees are tasting good, so I'm very happy. How's the Stoke swirl? I have never used it for cupping. Instinto SOS is, yeah, it is really good. I do want to talk about this real quick if you guys were curious. Instinto roasts are really interesting. They're very sweet, balanced, and clean. They are pretty light. So I will have a video just on all of these. But yeah, look at that. That's pretty light. That is pretty light, if this will focus on my face. Look. Oh no, I'm dropping Sidra Oxidator Soledad. Ugh. It's pretty light. I mean, I guess we can brew it. We're not doing anything right now. But yeah, it's just like amazing to taste these new coffees. I'm gonna have a video on this at some point in time, but the new coffees, and then also to be able to taste Instinto. I mean, this to me is like, you know, I think they're roasting on a drum roaster, but it's clean. It is it's kind of like all the properties, like the same type of philosophy they have when it comes to processing coffee. Like they have this cleanliness in the process of the coffee. That is what I'm kind of experiencing in the roast style. So it's kind of that same philosophy, but applied to a roasting style. It is not as light as Say. It is not like as acidity focused, in my opinion, but it is really nice and sweet. So I'm gonna brew this right now. So this is SOS. Save our souls. Let's see if you guys can do that. Save our souls. Sidra Oxidator Soledad. Why do I not do as much espresso? Okay, I did pull 2 shots 2 days ago of the Surya Botino from Flower Child. So I actually pulled this coffee here. It's because I was trying to show my friend the differences between the Cafetech and the O1 when it came to espresso. Which maybe we'll end up talking about grinders in another stream. But a big reason why I don't do espresso so much nowadays is because I don't want to taste. I don't want to taste so much of the medium of the coffee, of the brew style. And I find that espresso is super finicky, even though, great, we've dropped $10,000 on a setup and we still can't have consistency in coffee. It's like crazy, right? So it's like, the issue that I find is like I'm trying to taste more coffee and less brew method, if that makes sense. I'm trying to taste more coffee, less espresso, right? Like, and a big reason why I am not liking espresso so much is just because of the pressures. Even though I can pull coffees in like very low pressure world, I would just rather brew if I'm trying to accomplish some of the quote unquote higher TDSs. Although I actually do like some of the high TDS brews. I have a video which I shot with the ground control on espresso concentrate. And that is high TDS, but low pressure. So my main issue is pressure and also literally like the amount of liquid you get out of espresso. But yeah, that is like my brief rant on espresso. But I am gonna come full circle. Espresso, as much as I hate espresso, I'm always gonna come full circle. It is the only type of brew method that I kind of get cravings for. I'm kind of like, ooh, espresso. Ooh, I haven't had espresso in a while. I need to make espresso. But right now, I am kind of in like the filter phase because I'm trying to experience more of the coffee. But yeah, let's brew this Instinto. I'm quite excited. I think we'll do an April brew of it. We'll do a more traditional, not traditional, but more of a regular brew method with Instinto. This is like I would classify it as an American Light. And I'm gonna clean some of this up. So, Brian, have you tried anti-maceration El Preso? Yes, I finally tried it. I went up to San Francisco a few days ago to pick up my friend who was hanging out here doing some coffee stuff with me, and I finally got to taste a brew of it in a coffee shop. It was the Manhattan roast of it. It's weird, man, or like it just tastes like I had a very specific flavor note that I was getting from it. It to me really tasted like a melted Jolly Rancher, like a mix of a melted, like I would say a melted watermelon Jolly Rancher. That is what that coffee tasted like to me. All right, I'm gonna taste the last of Finca Sera. Now that it's been about 40-ish minutes after it's brewed, this is where, we might start getting a little bit of oxidation, but this is where the acidity is going to be the most. What a great coffee. Now I'm going to brew Instinto Sidra Oxidator Soledad. Save our souls. Do you find, say, coffee profiles for both espresso and filter? Yes. So this is more of like a quote-unquote omni roasting style, where they just want to, you are going to need to adapt how you brew your filter, how you do your espresso for this coffee. It is not roasted specifically for one brew method. And it worked great. Did you get the Moonwake Pepe? No, I didn't. Brian, can you stall a brew and start sipping on Moonwake? I don't need to simp for Moonwake because Harry's not here. Okay, so this is a great example. Maybe I've experienced this with some of the Sidras from them, but definitely smells, you get that tomato. I know a lot of you guys have picked up Pepe's coffee before and you're like, oh, you get tomato in it. But a lot of the times it doesn't make it into the cup. But this is, you smell this and you're like, is this a Kenyan? And I actually had a very similar experience with this type of like tomato-y smell with first crop David Barrio. And it was like, I was like, what is happening? But definitely dry aromas don't always make it into the cup. It has that layering, so this is where that tea oxidator wash is like, there's that layering of aromatics. So it's like, yes, there's tomato, but it's like layered in something. And honestly, like light roast on espresso is just more difficult, right? It's harder to do because it's more finicky. It's a finicky brew method. You prep wrong. You do a lot of these things wrong. The way the coffee tastes is going to be way different, and it's very inconsistent. So yeah, it probably is easier on filter, but that kind of depends on how good you are at brewing and pulling espresso. So here's Instinto's Sidra Oxidator Soledad. It's really nice to have a Sidra. A lot of the other coffees that Pepe gave us these are all Mejerados. And some of these, Harry thought it was Gesha, but it's Mejerado. I have to put that in the video somewhere. But that's like the crazy thing. I think those are all from San Pedro as well. Is that some of these Mejerados from Pepe are so floral that it's like Gesha. That they probably are more floral than Gesha from other places. And that's kind of cool. Now that I'm throwing water on it, I'm not getting as much tomato, but I'm getting a lot of the teoxidator. He calls it teoxidator, so I don't know which one to say anymore. I'm like, that should say teoxidator. But I get a lot of that aromatic layering. And we're just doing a more normal April brew. Yeah, so less tomato, but still layering. And instead of a tomato now, it's more of like a red fruit. This is Instinto. This is Pepe Jijon's roastery, roasted in Ecuador. So this is Ecuadorian coffee roasted in Ecuador. In the United States. Kind of cool. Impossible to get. You can't, I don't think you can buy Instinto. I think it's hard to buy. I think there are like export laws. So he brought this with him in person, and this is the coffee I got in person. He shipped us a lot of them, him and Jose, before they left Chicago. Obviously, they don't want to carry all that stuff, right? So we'll take it off his hands. So he sent it to me, and I did a split of it with some of the guys in the local community. We'll have a video where we tasted some of these. Like, I'm still editing it right now. It's a pretty long video on Ecuadorian coffee. It's literally this live stream, but in video form. Do we have bingo? Oh, man. Is that my April brew stalling? Oh. I had one of the best bros I've ever made with a Colombian save from last year. I think at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, a lot of the Say coffees, the Colombian, like Pink Bourbons and all that, have been insane. I love tomato. I think, isn't tomato technically a fruit? Like, tomato, I have had some Kenyans that have tomato in them, and Pepe's coffees that have had tomato in them, that I am like, this is pretty good. Tomato acidity is kind of interesting. The best shot I've ever had and brewed was, that's a Mexican coffee, I believe. I've only brewed it perfectly that one time. Yeah, it really do be like that. Ooh, look how good I'm at pouring. So perfect. It is technically a red fruit. You're right. Okay, so here's Instinto. Sidra Oxidator Soledad. I think this roasting style is much more forgiving, much easier to brew. But to me, it's like when I taste this, I'm like, oh, this all makes sense. The way Pepe does his coffee, that philosophy definitely makes its way into the roasted coffee as well, where it's like clean. It's like let's do the coffee justice. Let's like show you guys what it's supposed to taste like. So you're not really tasting much like influence of roasting style, or maybe like it's the influence of this is what we like from our coffees inherently, but now in a roasted form. That's my amazing explanation. Yeah, I need to. Maybe we'll try to do that group buy again. But after tasting Instinto, like, I definitely can try to push for it and see if we in the Discord can all do a bigger group buy. If we can ask him again. I think it's just like 10 kilos is a lot of coffee for roasted coffee. Or like, I don't know who would want to do the split. But here's a Sidra Oxidator Soledad. That's Sidra. So we got some of that herbalness from, if you've ever had Pepe Jijon Sidra before, That's what this tastes like. This tastes exactly like what, if you've ever, like the Manhattan and all of that, this coffee tastes exactly like that. Is clean, is sweet, it's what the coffee is supposed to taste like. No influence of the roast. This is just well done. It's light. I definitely find with Pepe's Sidra, there's more tomato. Gee, okay. There's some degeneracy going on in the chat. But yeah, you see, so SOS is like more balanced, or like this instinto roasting style, definitely more like balanced, clean, sweet. This is like a clean roasting style, whereas the Say roast is definitely like, oh, we are so good at sourcing coffee that the coffee's already clean, so you're not going to taste any like weirdness from the roast at all. So slightly different philosophies, I think. This is definitely lighter. Say is definitely a little lighter than instinto. So there's more acidity, more, less like integration of acidity at times. But both really great roasting styles. And I don't know, this was like a lot of fun. You guys will see a YouTube video that is exactly the same as this in the coming week, maybe, if I have time. I don't know. Maybe I'll just like grind through it and edit it tonight. But yeah, it's been great. Yeah, Kenyan coffees are kind of in a weird place right now. I think this year and last year are not as strong. But I think it's coming back. I think it's going to make a comeback. I'm too young to have tasted 90-point Kenyan coffee, but every single time I talk to Preston, I talk to Lance, they all tell me about the mythical 90-point Kenyan, and that's an era that I think will come back in a little. But I'm very interested in tasting those incredibly high-quality Kenyans. Unfortunately, last year there was only one Kenyan that I thought was good. Well, maybe, I guess, okay, there were two Kenyans that I thought were really good. Like, they were really good for Kenyans. Guccienda was one of them. The Say Guccienda. That was an amazing coffee. I brewed that coffee. I extracted the hell out of it. It was just like hibiscus tea. It was amazing. And then the other one was a Tim Wendelbo coffee. It was a Tim Wendelbo Kenyan. It came out, I think, a little bit before Cap started with a K. I don't remember anymore. But yeah, that was what I was quite impressed with last year. Yeah, so two Kenyans last year were pretty good. I was not impressed with the Say Ecuador. Which one? And I don't know. That's like, there are like these Pepes, the Pepe coffees. Like, I will say that the earlier harvest of Pepe, I think, was a little bit stronger. There was like a Pepe that was released around December and January that was a lot of brown sugar. Like, I just think like a lot of the roasters got that. It was like super sweet, but it didn't really have that acidity that I think a lot of people enjoyed. Let me look it up, Boris. 1 second. It was Gachatha. It was this coffee. The Gachatha from Timmy's and the Guccienda were the two strongest Kenyans I tasted last year. This year, I'm not entirely sure. There was one coffee that I was like kind of interested in, the Tasiwa AA, but it was okay. It's just hard to like. It's hard to like other coffees at times when it's like, you only drink a handful of Kenyans. The best ones are the ones that stand out. The Say Peru Geshas have been great. Yeah. So the Rolando Silva. I I had that coffee. It has been decent. Let me know where these coffees are. Yeah, this one here. I've just been moving between so many Peru geishas. It is crazy. So this is one. This is the other Peru geisha I just opened up yesterday or 2 days ago. So and then I still have. I bought 2 bags of this. The Mario. Oh my God, the Mario is crazy good. So, yeah. This actually was like this has like, look at these flavor notes here. This is interesting. Oh no, this is Mayordomo. I have 2 purple cards here. This was a really great coffee, the Mayordomo. But yeah, this is a Peru geisha. Whenever I see Earl Grey, I'm always a big fan of it. I'm like, Earl Grey is a flavor note that I think is amazing from Sei coffees. I actually think some of the more less like fruity flavor notes, whenever they write it on, whenever you get it from a Sei coffee, they're really interesting. Like chocolate from a Sei coffee is so interesting. I think I linked it in here before, but they had a tabby that had like a cacao flavor note, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And yeah, it's just interesting to also taste like chocolate from wash coffees. Like light roast wash coffee chocolate. Kind of a weird thing to experience. I don't know which. Yeah, I don't know which Ecuador coffee you tasted, but I don't think any of these were in. I mean, I don't think any Pepes were in the sub. At least, maybe I got that from a few months ago, but I do not remember because I ran through so many coffees. I did not open up the Cortez yet, or maybe it's here. I don't even know anymore. I have so many coffees. I have these 2 that I still need to open. These guys here. And then I also have to open up the John Alexander Bermudez. One thing that I have liked recently, though, is he does now start to put late harvest. Like, he tells you which harvest these coffees are from. So it's like late harvest. But yeah, there's so many coffees, like, I probably can't keep track of them anymore. I really liked, Greatest City in Body coming from SSPMPO'd, yeah. Morgone had a Kenya at the end of the year that was phenomenal. Peach iced tea and raspberry stayed consistent for weeks. Hope they bring it back next season. Yeah, I mean, hopefully it's just as good and it didn't get worse. Still resting the Cortez. Isn't that, like, old now? Or it's like, it's definitely like I wouldn't rest them that long. That's my guess. Yeah, I have a lot of coffee. I mean, even in this table, like you can see what's on here. Look at this. This is a coffee that has been pretty impressive. This is a Choroso that has florality in it. This is going to be on X Bloom. So I'm just dropping coffee. So this is work related, but I think he'll have that on the website. This I'm very excited for. Juan Peña, baby. Another Mejorado. Also from Ecuador. I need to drink this at some point. I'm just looking at what else is like unopened. We have a bunch of Flower Child. Wow. Oh my god, this one smells great. This. Preston said this one's tasting really good. And then so many. So yeah, this is like what's unopened right now on the table. There's more. You know, this is a problem. We have issues here. You guys can't even see. Yeah. But personally speaking, the only coffee that I actually purchase is Say. I don't actually buy outside of requests from you guys, of course. To clarify, what I actually spend money on is Say, because that to me is my fits my favorite flavor profile. It fits how I like to brew coffees, and yeah. But it's because like I see Preston locally. He hands me coffee. I'm like, what am I supposed to do, man? It's like, am I gonna say no? He's being hospitable and he's giving me coffee. But we're gonna have some videos with Preston very soon, so I'm very excited for those. I actually think this is the most impressive coffee right now that I've tasted, like from Preston, or like it's just so. This coffee is great. Obviously, like the Geshas have been good. This Juan Peña Mejorado I'm very excited to taste, but this Surya, it's crazy. Buy this coffee. Let me link it. I don't know if he had Carmen. I think he might have some more of the Carmen Montoya. This Churroso was just like, yeah. I mean, it's on X Bloom right now, so this was a work-related coffee, but it is a Churroso with florals in it. It's so weird. It's kind of just a very interesting coffee to taste. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do today. I could be on a little longer if anybody wants, but. Yeah, I've brewed a lot of coffee, and I mean, these are all have been great. Sidra Oxidator Soledad. Now it's really cool down. Let's give it a quick taste. Red fruit, great. I can't get the Mejorado to taste good. Really bitter every brew kind of. Well, I mean, which Mejorado? Thank you for showing so many new coffees I need to try. Dude, there are always new coffees. Also, thanks for showing off Moonwake. I just tried the ultralight roast, and it is fire. Yeah, the ultralight roast, really interesting coffee. I have the Juan Peña Mejorado Papaya Madness, not Flower Child, is really nice. Yeah, Bots does some interesting work too. I have not got. I mean, I'm probably gonna get some bots. So I'm gonna be in New York in a little. I'll probably pick up some bots from Suited. The Mejorado. I haven't opened this coffee up, so I do not know. But you probably need to extract high. Camera hasn't died yet. Yeah. So I've upgraded to the fan technology. So there is a cooler now on this camera, and now I have infinite streaming time until the cooler dies. Same here, saves my main, still mixing some other brands for curiosity. Yeah, you know, I think if you're into like the cleaner stuff, definitely Flower Child, definitely Ilsa, Passenger, you know, the usual suspects for that style of coffee. I just think Say has the largest variety. So it's the most interesting. Oh, also Prodigal's pretty good, but it's like the most interesting kind of subscription to be on. I'm gonna do a video with Preston on coffee subs. So we're gonna do that video together. Probably gonna film it this week. But it's gonna be like, you know, his approach to coffee subscriptions, because like I think coffee subscriptions are really interesting for the roaster and also for you as the consumer. Like you should treat your subscribers with like the most, I don't know, they're like your most loyal customers, right? And it's like you as the consumer, it's like what type of vision do you want in coffee? Like that's the subscription that you get, right? Yeah, I wanted to start a Prodigal sub, but I just have too much coffee. The sub I am interested in doing though from Prodigal is like whatever the premium one is, because he had some really interesting coffees on. And also, what's hilarious is Mark from Prodigal. This is like the world is very, very small. Mark from Prodigal. I actually probably have met Mark before, but I used to go to the Dropbox office to play Super Smash Bros. Melee, and Mark used to work at Dropbox. And Mark started a business in like 2016 or 2017 or 18 with another guy from San Francisco that I used to play Melee with. And he's like good friends with this guy called John, and Mark is good. And then it's like they met each other at Dropbox, and I am like 100% sure I've met Mark before I was in coffee. That is like, the world is small, man. So it is. It's really interesting. It's like, oh my god, I have a random connection with the guy with Mark because of Super Smash Bros. Melee. Incredible niche hobby combined with this. This is also incredibly niche. So yeah, I was kind of surprised by that. Because I was at Expo, and this guy was like, oh, I've played against you online before. He's like, knew this other guy I used to play with, and he was like, oh, I played with you online. And he was like, oh yeah, this guy's name is John. He's like good friends. He was the business partner with Mark. And I was like, what the hell? I was like, wow, you actually remember some like very deep, this is like incredibly deep lore right here. So yeah. If coffee won't get Melee lore, let's 1v1 Smash Ultimate. Dude, I hate Ultimate. I'm sorry. If coffee won't stale, I would have had 5 subs minimum. Maybe you gotta start whipping out the chest freezers. I didn't buy these yet, but Walmart had a sale on these. I need to actually buy them. Oh shit, this is on sale. Wait, guys, I'm gonna buy this. How do I share this link without it, like, getting... This link is super long. Alright, I'm just gonna drop this, like, huge-ass link in the chat. Oh, I literally cannot post this link in the chat, because it's so long. Here we go. Let me try doing this one. Here we go. This is on sale right now. I'm kind of tempted to buy. It's so cheap. It's 118 bucks. And get delivered to your door from Walmart. Yeah, I had to find a better link. So I think I'm gonna pick some of these up. Should we do a BQ Discord Slippy tournament? Maybe. I probably won't enter unless there are better players than me. What we have been doing is we have been playing Overwatch. So there are a few of us who play Overwatch 2. If you guys want to queue up, you guys can, we'll sort it out in the Discord. But there are a few of us who play Overwatch together. So you guys want to play video games and play comp, come play with us. But yeah, okay. I'm trying to figure out what else to do. I've been on for a while. I got to taste all these coffees. Like, that's all I wanted to do today, basically. We had no problems with the camera. And the camera, yeah, like this is the new technology, guys. What's for dinner tonight? I don't know yet. Maybe Korean or something. I heard freezers with auto defrost is the best for storing coffee. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just like, man, it's $100 for a freezer, and I could put a lot of coffee in there. And I'm trying to figure out spaces, because like right now, this table here is a standing desk, or it's like a desk you can raise up and down. I could actually fit some freezers under this table. I'm gonna have pho for dinner. Okay. Yeah, let me see. I mean, I could hit up some of these local guys to see if they got they want to grab dinner. But yeah, I also haven't checked my work. I probably check work and find out things are on fire right now. Just gonna do that real quick. All right, nothing goofy going on at work. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just like really happy to have been able to taste these coffees. Really happy we're hanging out with people on the chat. And yeah, but I definitely think as these coffees start to rest a little longer, they're gonna really open up. I think Surya already for me from the 422 roast is like peaking, starting to peak. San Pedro, I'm interested to see if we can get more acidity out of it, but my guess is that this is just the style of this coffee. This is, more sweetness intensity. So yeah. Did this turn into a work stream? Semi. I mean, I showed off some stuff that I was doing for work. But yeah, I gotta like do a bunch of other random tasks. Tomorrow, probably going to be filming a bunch of stuff too. Like I've been filming these videos on the X Bloom Studio. That's like what I do now. It's like, here's how you use the machine. Here is how you do X, Y, and Z things. But yeah. OMG, my Say Pepe's just got delivered. Yeah, we're getting to have less scuff streams now. This is crazy. But I'm going to be in Austin next week, so if you guys are anyone local in Austin, come hang out. We're going to do this is a work event. It'll be fun. Do an event at Proud Mary. Alan, I hope you post a picture of those Pepes in the Discord. Other stuff that's happening. This week, I'm probably going to post up that video of me doing this, but the first time. And it'll be a video. If I have time, I might do a video on resting coffee. Basically, it's the same stuff that we've done on the stream, but instead of people getting a 2-hour-long stream, they get a 20-minute long video or something. I don't know, but I wanted to. I think I have like a good framework for resting finally, and I want to put that out there for the world. The tasting notes, Servio from Flower Child. Yeah, this is a really interesting coffee. The say roast of this coffee was also quite amazing. This is more Kenyan tasting than most Kenyan coffee. This is it. And it's a Pink Bourbon. It's from Colombia. So, we're finding like, they're just like flavor profiles from that you associate with certain regions and origins, and it doesn't necessarily have to come from there for you to get those types of flavor profiles. Kind of interesting how amazing how some processing all of that has gotten in the past. But yeah, I haven't been around coffee long enough to have tasted those 90-point Kenyans. Yeah, okay. All right. Well, I've been on for a bit. I need to get dinner. I need to go do other stuff. If you guys have any other things you want to chat about, post it in the Discord. The Discord has been popping recently. Might finally open up the Discord. I might actually make a video on the Discord. Discord's been great. We've had some meme moments. But yeah, all right. I am gonna hop off now. Thank you guys so much for hanging out tonight. If you guys got these two coffees, please brew them side by side and enjoy them. I think these are just such an honor to be able to taste these coffees, and this is the future, man. This is the next generation. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know. Post on the VOD or just post in the Discord. I honestly have I'm so behind on YouTube comments as always. Just look at the Discord now. So yeah, if you have any questions on this stuff, just post in the Discord. Easier. All right, catch